Welcome. We're here tonight to talk about the Jefferson County Civic Center. We're taping this for FPAC for our community because there's a lot of you out there that need to know what's going on with the Civic Center also. I'm Susan Kessel, Andrew Edlin.
Hi.
And we have Linda Stallone here, our project development fundraiser, who will be joining us. Our theme for tonight that we want to share is where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. This project I've been involved with Sally Neff for 8 years. We've been through a lot, and we still have $1 million left to raise. So we're getting very close. We've jumped a lot of hurdles over these 8 years and accomplished a lot for our community. And we want to share with you just what the Jefferson County Civic Center can be to our community.
So as Susan said, this project has been in the making about 8 years. And one of the things that was done fairly much at an early stage was to do a feasibility study, which was both to work out whether we could build it, how much we might expect to raise from the community, what sort of level of support there was there, and also to get some idea what kind of individuals, groups, businesses, etc. might use it for, what kind of support base we would have, not only for its being built, but also for its operating afterwards. So we did a very thorough feasibility study, but that's a kind of ongoing process anyway, to find out what sort of uses there might be for it. And that's one of the things we want to talk about tonight. There are some classic objections that people raise about the Civic Center. They are many and various, but one of the most common is, what are you going to use it for? I can't imagine what you would use such a building for. And really, that's exactly right. People can't imagine it, because until you suggest to them the wide range of things that you can use the Civic Center for, it is hard to imagine. And then people say, you're right, we could use it for that. That's a good idea. We need that. And then people start to understand the purpose of it. So that's part of what we want to do for you this evening.
An important thing to realize is that the Civic Center was designed for our community. We did have lots of programming interviews with 2 different architects that went through all the things that the Civic Center could be used for, from theater to dance, music, cooking demonstrations, everything possible from our community members we listened to. We invited all the different groups and organizations to come and talk to us about this.
There's an amazing variety of different groups and individuals that wanted to use the Civic Center for all sorts of different things. We will refer this evening that it would be a good thing if you're on the web, if you're internet savvy, to go and look on our website and see many of the different items that are on there, many of the different things that the Civic Center can be used for, and there are lots of questions and answers that we've found are regularly asked. And if we don't cover something this evening, I'd recommend that you go on there. It is Jeffco, Jeffco, Civic Center, CIVICCENTER.org. And we can probably put that up on the screen as well.
Yes, we'll put that on our closing.
One of the advantages of doing FPAC.
Another exciting part of our project is the revitalization for our community. In our feasibility study, we first talked about building it at the fairgrounds west of our community, and then it moved out east. And during the feasibility study, our city council members and key people decided that we should put this downtown, and they knew the spot that they thought it should go. So after a lot of thinking, it was decided that this was absolutely the best place, and that is the full block west of the courthouse. And it's an ideal location, and our building has been designed just for that space.
Maybe at this point we should take a look at some of the artist renderings of what the Civic Center will look like, I should say. This is a view taken from the corner of Main and Briggs. You can see there's the Lutheran Church. So this is Main going north and south, and it shows this three-quarter view of the front of the Civic Center. This part here is the Performing Arts Auditorium. That is a 520-seat auditorium that has been specifically designed to be as flexible in its use as possible. It has, and we will look at the ground plan a little bit later, an extremely flexible seating plan to allow all kinds of musical events, theater, anything basically that you would need a stage and seats for. And some of the seats are movable so that you can have a variety of different stage setups. On the other side, on the side where Susan is, you can see that that is the exhibition space or the event pavilion. And that is a 25,000 square foot open space. It can be subdivided into meeting rooms, but if it's all opened up, it's 25,000 square foot space with a polished concrete floor, so that you can have pretty well any event in there that you care to name. You could have a wedding reception for about 650 people that could be catered out of a warming kitchen that will be on the site. That is a warming kitchen that existing businesses could bring food to and then serve it hot out of there to tables in the exhibition space. On the other hand, you can drive a combine harvester from one end of the building to the other. You can have all kinds of exhibitions, craft fairs, anything where someone would buy booth space for a weekend or for a day, however long the event was, and then people would come in to see those wares, those items that were being exhibited or were on sale.
Once again, flexibility is the key word for this design for the whole building is as flexible as you can imagine all the spaces to be used for a variety of purposes. And the warming kitchen, it's been talked about maybe having cooking classes and even taping cooking classes by businesses, owners, restaurateurs that already exist that can do some cooking programs. So we want our business establishments that are existing right now to be able to use this and participate.
Let's just take a little look at the actual ground plan itself. I think this should make sense now that you've had a look at the exterior of the building. This is the east side of the building, so this is North Main. The street here is between the courthouse and the Civic Center. And on this side, you can see here is the auditorium. On the other side is the event pavilion. You can see that big open space there.
The plaza in the front is designed so that some outdoor activities can take place. It's all handicap accessible. There will be a drive-up area that you can drive up and drop off. And there are two ways or more to enter. You can come through here, which is office spaces, which we're looking at possibly the Chamber of Commerce being located in there, and also our director, possibly the tourism person too. Then the atrium lobby, which is developed into a whole space by itself, will be a beautiful area. And in this area will be some of the items that we've salvaged from Barhite Chapel, including the large stained glass window, stones for possible seating areas. We'll have more. In this area will be an arcade, which will be a gallery, and in that will be recreated the arches from Barhite Chapel.
I mentioned that the seating in the auditorium is flexible. These seats here, there are about 200 of them in this area, down closer to the stage, can be removed. They can either be removed altogether and make space for dinner theatre, for small tables, or they can be reversed and put up on the stage so you can have theatre in the round. Or you can remove them and build a larger stage out and have what is called a thrust stage, so you're performing with audience on three sides. And festival seating was chosen after extensive consultation with both the architects, with the theatre specialists and with local theatre groups, because it gives them maximum flexibility for the kinds of theatre which are performed in this town, which a lot of which are musicals and which very much relish having this kind of flexible staging. But of course you can use it also for any kind of musical or dance event.
One other thing I wanted to point out was right here we have designed a space that the pipe organ that was salvaged from Barhite Chapel will have, if we raise enough money, we'll have a place to install it over here. So we're planning ahead for all these items that we have salvaged.
Obviously the theatre will be used for local groups who want to put on productions of all kinds. Also, an exciting aspect of having the auditorium will be that we will be able to host national, international artists, performers who are traveling through the Midwest, going from one major performance in a large metropolitan area to another. So they might be going from Chicago to Denver, going one weekend to another, so they might stop in Fairfield on a Wednesday or Thursday, midweek, and do a performance. So these are people that otherwise we simply wouldn't get to see. Maybe they might stop in Hampshire or something like that, but they just would not be accessible to most people. And you can get some absolutely wonderful performers who will be delighted. Instead of just spending the night in a motel, they spend the night, well, they still spend the night in a motel, but they also do a nice performance. That will be a tremendous benefit, and something I think that would be very enjoyable for everyone. And of course, people can give their input as to what kinds of artists they would encourage to stop by, whether they want Brazilian acrobats or bluegrass groups.
Or
yeah, any kind of group there may be. It's simply a question of supply and demand. What people want can be arranged.
And also partnering with other area facilities we're not in competition with, but we will work with them and partner with bringing some of the same groups.
So an artist who might be coming here might then go on to Iowa City or to Oskaloosa or Pella. It would put us basically on a track to have a lot of very interesting groups, artists, performers come here who otherwise simply wouldn't, because there isn't a facility for them to perform in. If they were going to perform, it would have to be in the high school auditorium, which, as everybody knows, is totally oversubscribed with events anyway. One of the nice things about the way it's designed is you can actually back a semi-trailer up to the backstage to a large cargo door, and they can bring their stuff on board, whether it be a symphony orchestra or a magician, any kind of performer, perform and leave very comfortably and quickly. And of course, it's already appreciated amongst the artistic performing community that Fairfield has very appreciative audiences. So I don't think there'll be any difficulty encouraging people to come here and perform. And that would be a tremendous increase for our quality of life.
Also in the cultural arts, we have a studio here for the Fairfield Art Association that will be in that space, but it will be used by the entire community for messy kinds of projects. And this will be open and available to community members along with the Fairfield Art Association.
And there's a big door that opens up from the Fairfield Art Association to the theatre workshop, so that if either needs expansion space, then that can be done. So they will be very much operating in tandem. All the support spaces to both the auditorium and the event pavilion on the other side are in the middle, so they can be used in common. That's all the bathrooms, and of course for the theatre, the makeup rooms, dressing rooms, etc. So although this building has a price tag at about $6 million, that was the original costing for it, then we are getting an awful lot of building for that amount of money. We're basically getting 2 buildings for the price of 1, because we are able to get the auditorium and the event pavilion. And the event pavilion is a very unique space. There are quite a few towns, cities in the area that have some kind of performing arts auditorium, but none at this point have this combination of an arts auditorium and an event pavilion. Of course, the event pavilion is primarily for business events. I mean, that's the way we're thinking of it. It will certainly be something that will generate income for the operating expenses of the Civic Center. But it can be used for literally anything. It's a large, open, all-season space. I mean, it's quite possible you could have, if it was pouring with rain, you could have prom cars coming through one end and out the other. Prom parade, yes.
Right through.
So all kinds of purposes.
So we've talked about all the uses, and we have discovered, putting pen to paper, that using this facility, approximately 40% of the time will produce a cash flow for the building. We're trying to be very conservative in our estimate to start with, and hopefully it will grow over time. But we did go to other facilities. We went to the Washington Community Center, and it was used almost every day of the year except for Christmas by all the different groups. So that was very encouraging. And so we're just estimating 40% of the time usage.
Let's just talk a little bit about the basic numbers, because that will lead us towards
Yes.
where we are, having talked about where we have been. The original project was costed at $6 million, and there was some inflation built into that. It has taken us rather longer to get to the point of having raised from various sources, and I'll describe those a little bit in a minute, to $5 million. But we've had a few challenges along the way, not the least of which was that we opened our fundraising campaign on September the 11th, 2001. So in the middle of a falling stock market, it's a testament to the enthusiasm, particularly of the major donors for this project, that it has reached the place that it is. And Linda, perhaps you would like to come and talk a little bit about the money.
My pleasure. My name is Linda Stallone, and I'm new to your community. And one of the things that I bring to this community is that I've been there and done that. While I was Vice President for Development at North Carolina Wesleyan College, my challenge was to raise the last $1 million so that they might open their Performing Arts Center. And it took 9 months to do it, but we did it, and we did open that center. And it was somewhat different than this, and I'll tell you how. But it was primarily a performing arts center. We opened it, and I had responsibility for staffing it and getting it up and running, and for 6 years I had that responsibility. So I do understand what this kind of building can do for a community, and it's extraordinary. The transformation that this building, the potential that it has for making this community a richer, better place is just amazing. And I say that because I saw it happen. When we built our building, we did not have the foresight to put on the facility that would be used for the conventions and the workshops and the reunions and all kinds of weddings. And so we had to kind of modify our Performing Arts Center to accommodate some of these things, and we never could quite do it all. But this plan can do it all, and that's what's so amazing, that they had the foresight to think this through 8 years ago and plan for all of the needs of this community. The community that I lived in was a small community as well. But you have to look at this as a region. and it's a region that can draw that kind of participation in the events that will take place in this building. I tell this story because I took my little girl up to Washington to see the New York Theater Ballet do Alice in Wonderland just about 3 weeks ago, and it was wonderful. The theater was well appointed, the sound was excellent, the show was marvelous. And I'm thinking to myself, not too long from now, we'll be able to do similar sorts of things here in our facility, which will be able to enhance these kinds of things. So my point is that the board found out that I was here and had some of this experience and said, can you help us? And I said, sure, I really could help you. I know I can. I know that getting the last $1 million in a project like this is the hardest. It's the hardest money to raise. Because the easy money and all the enthusiasm that brought in all of the early funds, that sort of has happened already. So we're now at the point where we are asking the community to dig deep and to help us make this a reality. To have $5 million on the table now and lose this opportunity for this community would just be a shame. It really would you don't want that to happen. This particular civic center, and call it whatever you want, if we have a major donor who comes forward, if there is $1 million donor or a consortium to make that $1 million, they will name it. They will name the facility for bringing in that large sum that would make this a reality. We don't have that $1 million donor yet. We're hoping that someone is out there thinking, I would love to do this in memory of someone, in honor of someone, as a testament to our family heritage and our contribution to this community. We are on the last mile to success in getting to this destination. This group is committed to breaking ground in the spring. We really are that close. And we are looking to all of you to help us make this a reality. In a project such as this, it is typical for us to have anywhere from 5 to 10% of the population of an area supporting a facility like this. We are hoping to get that 500 to 1,000 donors contributing, and it doesn't have to be large contributions. We're looking for that base of support. When you have a facility like this in your community, it's open to everyone. It's for the use of everyone. And it's a non-profit organization. No one expects that this is going to make money. No one who knows about running these kinds of facilities expects that it's going to be profitable, but it is going to pay and maintain itself. And if you get the right person running the facility, booking both sides of the house and working the kinds of things that can be done in this community, you will have no trouble. That's why it's very good that they are anticipating a 40% usage, which is low, and they will do better than that. So all of these things tell me, as I stepped in and kind of looked at this with the eye of someone who knows a little more than the average person asking questions, and I was assured in my mind that we can make this work. Will we stop fundraising for this facility? Probably never. There will always be an annual campaign that will be used to help support the operating expenses, because that's what you do, and that's what all nonprofits do. We will be hoping to build an endowment. We will probably, and I would recommend this, and I think it would not be a stretch to say, every ticket that's sold, there'll be a small portion of that ticket sale going towards the endowment, helping to build it gradually, asking for the kinds of planned gifts in a community such as this that would support the operational expenses later. But the whole premise is built on this. They have worked this out. The numbers look good. With a 40% usage, you should be able to maintain and operate this building without having to cry wolf. All I want to do right now is to see us succeed in bringing this kind of a facility to our community. Why? I'm very selfish. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I really want her to grow up having access to the kinds of things that this kind of facility will make available. Anything I need to say other than this does not happen unless you, all of us, grassroots effort. The last million's the hardest. I tell you, you just need to help. If you haven't made a contribution, make it now. If you voted for the referendum in support of this, then you especially need to reach down and write that check in support, because we need that kind of a base to know that the community wants this facility. We could lose it, but it would be a real shame to have that happen. We're so close, it's painful.
Thank you, Linda. We are so glad to have your help on this project. And once again, it is a project for our whole community, for its future. It's just full of good things that can happen for our town.
You and I will come and go. We will pass in time. But this facility will be here for our grandchildren if we're smart enough to make it happen now. And that's what it all comes down to. This is a wonderful, thriving community. I picked it to come and live here. And I really hope that we can make the effort together, all of us, the whole community, to make this a reality. We're that close, guys.
And once again, if you have questions, contact any of the board members, contact Linda. Check out the website, which is www.jeffcociviccenter.org.
And we'll put that at the end in writing.
We have many board members. We have 15 board members, and possibly we'll list those at the end here too, to feel free to contact
I think
them.
that's a good idea, because all of the board members who have been working for 8 years, some of them are fresh and come in the last few years, are all volunteers. Everybody here is working for the same end. They believe that this will be an enhancement for our community. I can tell you from experience that it is an economic incentive to the development of the community. I saw this happen. And I realized when I saw that we were able to bring 10,000 people a year passing through our Performing Arts Center, that it was creating a kind of environment that was lively and stimulated the kind of business community responses, restaurants, motels, these kinds of things. All of this will happen if we are committed enough to write that check.
We've had a vision. We've tried to share this vision with our community. We hope that you will join us in making this vision happen. Thank you very much.
Any other questions before we go?